Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to the wide world of wrestling. My name's Simon Tackler. I am joined by my co-host, Neil Walters. Neil, are you ready to talk Extreme Rules?
What the hell was that? I thought, look, overall, that was really, really good. Like, every match was entertaining. We had a whole lot going on. But yeah, instead of horror show, it should have been called Extreme Rules. What the hell did I just watch?
Yeah, it was really shocking, but not really in the horrific way. It was just a weird show, but entertaining, I guess. And it didn't overstay its welcome. It was a sort of old school in your house style under 3 hours show, which we were saying before we started recording. You think it's a good thing?
It's a great thing, especially at the moment. There's no point doing a 4 or 5 hour huge pay-per-view. I think SummerSlam will probably be the next one that's extended over 3 hours, because you can't really have SummerSlam under 3 hours. But I'd like to see them do SummerSlam possibly over 2 nights, like follow the WrestleMania formula, do 2 nights of 3 hours each, extend it all and have, a couple of cinematic matches or whatever they want to do. But yeah, I love the under 3 hour card. It's so much better. My day can still continue on past 12 o'clock instead of running into like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, the trend for a few years where every pay-per-view was 4 hours, that was overkill. If we keep these shows to under 3 and only Mania and SummerSlam and Royal Rumble, etc., going over 3, whether it's 4 or 2 nights or whatever, yeah, that's probably better. This felt like an easy watch. And yeah, I reckon the runtime definitely helped the enjoyment levels. We'll start
especially
off with
you don't have to have, you're not paying for it now either. You're paying for the network, but it's not like if a show goes 2 hours 50 or 6 hours, I'm paying the same amount. I'm just paying for the network. It's not like back in the day where you're paying $50 for Backlash or something on main event. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, just have it as a shorter runtime show for these like non-main, non-big four, and then the big four can, I'd like to see the big four go for 2 nights each. The Rumble next year, I'd like to see 2 nights, the men's Rumble on 1 night, the women's Rumble on the second night. And then you could have a bit more of a card rather than having to do 2 Rumbles in 1 day, which is always a big punish.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Instead of dragging it out for 6 hours, split them up. You'd enjoy both matches more. You could even do that with Money in the Bank. Obviously this year was different, but yeah, when you're going to do those simultaneous, gimmick matches, split them up. Get 2 nights out of it.
Yeah.
This was a night of a lot of gimmicks. They kicked things off with a tables match. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura defeating the New Day.
Thankfully, I think it was the perfect time for the New Day to drop the titles. Cesaro and Shinsuke are just being rewarded for how good they are. I said this on the last card. These guys deserve the belts. I thought it was a perfect change that they definitely needed to do, because the New Day thing was just getting on a little bit, and they need to go and do something else. Now you can have Cesaro and Shinsuke take on pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, but they're not going to. They're going to feud with the Usos, then they're going to feud with the New Day, and it's going to go back to where it was. Cesaro has now feuded with the New Day since they begun over the past 5 years with 3 different tag partners. Started with Tyson Kidd, then it was with Sheamus, and now with Shinsuke. Yeah. Cesaro might
He's their worst enemy.
He is their main rival. He's the foreign bad guy from a movie that the New Day keep taking on. But he might be, at the end of his career, like one of the most decorated tag team champions in WWE history. And that might end up being his legacy. As good as he is, if he never gets, to the next level or gets the brass ring or whatever cliche you want to use, he is one of the best tag team wrestlers ever. And while they never won the tag titles, him and Jack Swagger were a great team too. And, go back to Ring of Honor, him and Chris Hero as well. Like, he's a great tag wrestler. He's better than anyone, pretty much.
It's what Cesaro does. He makes everyone else look better. Like, he is a great wrestler. His singles career never took off, but he just makes everyone else look better than what they actually are, I think. So just having him come in and just destroy everyone, he makes Shinsuke look incredible. And it's just so smart for him to be rewarded with the tag belts, because he's turning up every week and absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, and so that was good. Good way to start the show. Next up, Bayley versus Nikki Cross. What did you think of this?
Look, I thought it was a great match from Nikki Cross. I thought Nikki did fantastic. There was moments there I was like, she's going to do this. She's going to win. And yeah, I said on the last podcast, I didn't want interference in both of these matches, and we got interference in both of the matches. And it's a bit disappointing that it ended with Nikki getting screwed over, because I thought it could have gone the other way here. I would have liked to have seen Bayley win legitimately over Nikki. There's no need for her to have a cost a match. Like, she's good enough now. She could just knock her off. But I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, it was very good. And a good character match. I thought Nikki Cross looked great in it. Bayley is always good. Where this could be going is the next question, because we might as well tie it into the Sasha Banks Asuka match, because of course they were all related. Talk about shenanigans. What a strange ending to Sasha and Asuka. Like, obviously left open-ended on purpose to get the follow-up on Raw, but missing a ref, Bayley putting a ref shirt on, it was just, wow.
I've never seen that before. This whole pay-per-view was all of the main matches I haven't seen before. I haven't seen that ending, or I haven't seen that kind of result. So you got to hand it to them. They did this really well. It could have been really obvious what they were going to do. The four main ones: the Eye for an Eye, the Raw Women's Champion, the Extreme Rules match, and the Wyatt Swamp match. I've never seen any of that before. So to have new original kind of content in this kind of climate, like, hats off to them. They did really, really well.
Yeah, but see, that backfires too, because you can't make everyone happy. I saw a few tweets while following the show today where everyone was just copying what everyone was saying. I saw like 5 different people say, oh, am I watching WWE or am I watching an episode of Thunder, lol? And, it's like, so you do something creative, people don't want it. You do things that are the same or, traditional, oh, this is boring, do something new. Like, it's a really tricky balance. And the show was the horror show at Extreme Rules. You should have expected shenanigans.
Yeah, it was a horror show. Like, that's the whole point. And, like, I don't think Sasha holds on to that belt. Someone's going to come out and say, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. She's not a ref. The only other time I've ever seen a ref pin that wasn't a ref was at ECW.
Where Paul Heyman just does the count.
Paul Heyman.
RVD,
He just counted and they went, sick, that's fine, that counts. But that's because he's in charge of the show.
Yeah, that's different.
In charge of the show.
No.
She's just another wrestler. Just because she sticks on a ref thing. And that, I felt bad for Rev. He just looked like such a princess when he got sprayed. He was like, hang on. Yeah. Everyone else gets sprayed with that stuff and they can still fight. It was, you could see that coming from a mile away. As soon as you saw Kairi give something to Asuka, and I was like, oh, here comes a spray. But then spraying the ref, it's not something we haven't seen that since the old Tajiri days. And I thought it was a good ending, and it sets up the next little bit going forward too. It's like, well, what happens if Sasha gets a belt taken away from her? Does she then like crack the shits at Bayley? Or, there are definitely more hectic storylines coming up. I'd probably say, a Sasha versus Asuka match in a cage match or something at SummerSlam, just to stop any outside interference. Because generally when you have a shitload of outside interference, it leads to either a Hell in the Cell or a cage match. So
cage match at
that's probably what's
SummerSlam
coming up next.
Could happen, or even a ladder match because the title's, in dispute, who's the real champ. Or do they do some sort of tag match where all titles are on the line? Raw, SmackDown, plus the tag titles. They like doing that, winner takes all.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I like that the story is continuing across 2 brands and across pay-per-views. So it's been, the main story in some ways, or the story that's gotten the most time over the past few months.
Yeah.
Up next is the match that everybody was waiting for. Eye for an eye. I was very excited about this one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to think of the ending. It wasn't one of the endings we booked, or we don't know yet.
No.
We'll see where they go.
Well, Jesus, the whole time everyone was talking about how uncomfortable they were watching this match. And I was like, the thing that didn't make sense to me is like they were trying to do moves that didn't involve the other person's eye. Like they were still making it kind of a normal wrestling match. And that was like, why are you bothering doing a Hurricane Rana? You're not going to get his eye out doing that. That's all I could kind of think. But that's with any match, you know, you have tables matches where they're doing like high flying moves nowhere near a table and everything. But I didn't see this coming. I thought Seth was going to, and that was how you wouldn't see Seth. I think we both agreed you wouldn't see Seth for a few months because he's just about to have a kid. But yeah, having him like vomit at the end of the match, that was really funny. The fact that he was so disgusted, the fact that you could see how much of just a weird prop eye it was.
Yeah. I'll give him credit for showing some restraint though. We all thought they were going to go for the dangling eye. They went slightly more realistic, or it was just popped out of the socket and you saw a little bit of red.
Yeah.
WWE doesn't normally go for subtlety, but I guess that's as subtle as you could go for.
It was weird. It was really weird. I thought it was a really good match. It had a lot. It had a bit of like a street fight, unsanctioned match kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it was a brawl. It was good.
Which I thought that they could have just gone for that instead. They could have gone for an unsanctioned, like lights out kind of match, and it would have had the same effect. I thought it was everything was, you lost a little bit of it with the whole eye coming out of his head. That felt cheap to me. It could have just been an I quit match, for example.
But now Dominic really has a reason for revenge against Seth.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the real plan, and we're, not looking at it properly. We don't really know how much training Dominic has had or how long he's been, practicing with Ray and Seth and all of his other trainers.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
obviously ready to go.
Yeah, and I assume this could be leading to SummerSlam. Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah, why not? Like, I'm if he's ready, then let's go. Like, that'll be the go.
Yeah, because they put out the medical report saying that Rey Mysterio had to be taken to hospital for emergency eye
whatever
surgery.
The weird thing what he has. Yeah.
Yeah, global something. Maybe, there's no way he should be medically cleared in a month. So maybe Dominic steps up.
And talking about weird matches, MVP versus Apollo Crews. I think we missed that one.
Oh, yeah, because it didn't happen. Yeah.
And then MVP just goes, belt's mine now. Again, for some reason, they've just decided that everything's made up and the rules don't matter, because he's just come out and said, well, the belt's mine due to forfeit, even though that's not the way that works. And I wonder what happened with Apollo Crews, really. I think the man has a little bit of COVID going on or something like that, because saying that he didn't pass a fitness test from a month ago, but we only knew now.
Was he on the fence? Because remember, it was a few weeks ago that they sort of made it sound like Apollo wasn't going to be in the match anyway. They were like, oh, he's injured. That's why MVP started carrying around the belt. And then when they said he was cleared for the match last week, but he wasn't even on Raw, it was like, hold on. What are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, it's weird. And it's weird that they were going to have that match, but then if they knew about it and it was an actual problem, they could have replaced that with the Jeff Hardy and Sheamus match and then made it run for a little bit longer. Because it just doesn't make sense, MVP just walking out, taking the belt and then going home. You could have put that on SmackDown as like the main event and people wouldn't have really cared.
Yeah.
I don't understand doing it like this.
I mean, I'm all for MVP being champ, though. I'm okay with that. Very strange, though. Very strange. And it sort of explains why the show ran under time. Because obviously, if you had Apollo and MVP and you had Hardy and Sheamus in the bar fight, would have ran to a perfect 3 hours.
It would have been 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what it was. The other big title match, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler. Extreme Rules for Ziggler only. If Drew gets disqualified, he loses the title. It was a good stipulation. a really good match. Like, there's been similar matches like this before. This was very good, though.
I thought it was a brilliant use of I'm not telling you what the stipulation is. We haven't seen that before. And we've seen Extreme Rules matches, but never like, you've seen parts of this match before. Like, if you get disqualified or counted out, you lose the belt, but never a one-sided, I get to use it and you don't. That's taking back to the old Edge days when he used to make up things, or when someone used to be the general manager and they could just change things whenever they wanted to. But this was, I thought it was incredibly smart. It made Dolph look smart. It's the only way you could have Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre without Drew just running through him and then making Dolph look shit. It actually, there was points there where I was like, holy shit, they're going to do this. They're going to give it to Dolph, which is insane. But yeah, I thought that was probably for me match of the night, apart from the cinematic match. But if we were going actual wrestling match, this was, by far the best match of the night. They both looked great. 15 and a half minutes, perfect run time for a match like this. Not too long, but you're still interested the whole time. Having Drew have Dolph up for a powerbomb and then having to change, not go through the table. Brilliant. Like, both wrestlers just showing off at their absolute best in this kind of match.
Yeah, they did the most with it. It made sense from, storytelling standpoint, what each character had to do to get through this match. And again, if it was a normal match, Drew should beat Dolph in 2 seconds. If he could beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes, Dolph needed this stipulation. And it never felt like, how come Dolph can beat up Drew all of a sudden? No, Drew was at a disadvantage the whole time and then got him with that amazing kick up into the Claymore. What an awesome finish. Drew McIntyre is a beast.
Yeah. One of the best. He is one of the best, for sure.
Yeah. What a run of title matches he's had. It's a shame it's happening in this COVID era. The title match against Seth Rollins after Mania, I think it was at Backlash, whatever that pay-per-view was. He had the one against Seth, the one against Lashley, and now this one. Great title defenses. He's coming out looking like $1 million. And if it's true that Randy Orton's up next at SummerSlam potentially, that could be great. I hope Randy Orton is as good as we've seen him, what he's been doing for the past few months, and he steps up with Drew. That could be awesome.
Oh, look, to me, this is, if that is right, if it's Randy versus Drew, he has to drop it to Randy, I think. Don't have it. Not every title run has to be for 2 years. Like, it doesn't have to do this. He drops it to Randy and those two go back and forth, and then he gets it back at Mania next year in front of a crowd. Huge. That's what we want. We want to see changes, not just Drew for champion for a year and a half, because you start to get sick of it. It's the John Cena syndrome where you're like, I know he's not going to lose. I don't want that. I want Drew to be able to lose every now and then. I know he beat Brock Lesnar, which is the big problem, because whoever beats Brock then becomes unbeatable. It's like, that shouldn't be the case. You look at back when Stone Cold used to have it, he used to lose all the time.
Yeah, he would lose it every few months
to get it back
and figure out a new way to regain the title. That's
what we need from Drew.
Yeah, if anyone's going to beat Drew for the belt, it has to be Randy, because he's on a hot streak of doing the best work anyone in the whole company's doing. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Should be really good. The promos should be awesome, because Randy Orton has stepped up, showing the other side of his persona again, and Drew McIntyre's great on the mic too. We'll see where they go with it. That should be good. And then the show ended with Braun Strowman sort of beating Bray, or did Bray win? I don't think there was a real ending. This was not really a match. I don't know.
Technically, Bray wins, I guess. Well, the Fiend wins. Well, it says on Wikipedia, Bray defeated Braun, but it's, look.
See, I'm reading an article on Forbes, and they've got it as Braun Strowman defeated Bray Wyatt.
I don't think anyone... I think Braun technically defeated Bray, but then the Fiend defeated Braun.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Okay.
Who knows? Again, I think we discussed this in the last one. This was just a setup for SummerSlam, where it's going to be the Fiend versus Braun, which I think there was a couple of things to come out of this match. How we saw Sister Abigail, who turned out to be Alexa Bliss. Oh, my God. But when Alexa Bliss came out, and they used that, it's obviously not her. It's just
in his mind,
playing with his mind. But using Alexa Bliss and their old relationship to like lure him into the swamp, holy shit, man. That is like movie grade storytelling. I popped hard when that happened. I was like, this is brilliant. That's what, like, I wanted to see the Sister Abigail character for a while. And if they can start incorporating Sister Abigail into more matches or whatever, where she's just this thing that can morph into someone that like messes with your mind while the match is happening, why not use that? Why not, make her turn into different female wrestlers that can then, if you have the Fiend versus Edge, you could have her turn into Lita and then screw with his head, and then like do all kinds of weird things. That's the development of Bray's character. He is the best wrestler going around at the moment, strictly because what he's doing for the company's storytelling. Even earlier in the night, he had cut a promo where he was talking. He goes, "Show that terrible footage," and they showed the singing thing that the Usos did.
Yeah, that was funny.
No, not that. It's like, that's brilliant, because we all thought that was one of the worst things to happen in wrestling in the last 10 years. And he points it out on the show. He's just been given free run.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's an interesting character because he breaks the fourth wall a lot, but at the same time, he's also, in some ways, the fakest character. He sort of doesn't exist in the world, but he is also the fakest in it. Yeah, it's really weird. It's kind of interesting. He also made old Braun Strowman appear. There were two Brauns.
Yeah. Yep. Bringing back the old Wyatt family. He had a whole bunch of weird people come out that we didn't know who they were. Some guy caught fire. He's just his dialogue too, the way he delivers things. You can tell it's all him. I don't think this is anyone else really within the company, because they're doing it so well, where it's just his level of storytelling and his attention to detail is way beyond anything that anyone else is doing in the company. And it's making, without this match at the end, I would have said it's a C+ pay-per-view. I was pretty stoked with it. But this, just like every time he's on TV or on pay-per-views or anything, it just takes it up another level, and he's so unbelievably good.
Well, we'll see what kind of impact it has. I really want to know what an average, just casual fan thinks of matches like this. They've been doing them every pay-per-view, so they must be working. In some way, they must have some metrics knowing that, well, this is working, and obviously Bray is the main guy to do them with. At SummerSlam, does it become just an in-ring match? I guess it has to be. And it has to be for the title, yeah.
Yeah. I think you just have the Fiend. I don't think it's anything to do with Bray. It's the Fiend versus Braun in a straight match. And we get the Fiend coming out to his music and holding the head and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to see him have a new head where it's like Braun's head.
With the black
mask on or something. The light, that'd be cool.
I think we might see the old Braun as well, though. Maybe this will be the Fiend versus the monster Braun, and he'll have the black mask. He'll have to revert to his evil ways. Hopefully that's a street fight or something. I know they tried doing the straight up match a couple of pay-per-views ago where they did it, just with some storytelling. These guys should have an all-out brawl with weapons and everything else. Both guys are at their best, I think, in that setting anyway. And could be huge. Could be a really big match.
I'd put money on maybe something like a Hell in the Cell or something like that, but then you have the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's always a problem.
Yeah. But maybe they're not doing the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view this year. You can't really have Hell in the Cell Performance Center either.
You got to do that off site.
It'd be the whole bloody thing.
Yeah.
Look, whatever they do at SummerSlam, I'd love to see. If it is just a straight wrestling match, the Fiend has to absolutely dominate Braun Strowman. He has to make him look weak. You have to bring back that character as absolutely unbeatable. That's what the Fiend is. He has to be the Fiend. He has to be unbeatable and just smash Braun Strowman here.
But we also
that's what I hope for anyway.
We saw Braun destroy Goldberg, though. So both these guys are overpowered right now, and it could lead to a really good brawl if they want to give them that spot. I think they should. I really like. Who knows where Braun goes after this? He sort of lucked into the world title finally, which he should have got years ago. Let them at least have a huge SummerSlam match. Both these guys have history. I'd rather them get like 15 minutes, do all the stunts, run through walls, break tables, do all of that stuff, end with special effects. But yeah, I think Braun deserves just one big singles good title match, because it felt like he never got them before. But yeah, and I think you need to get the title onto Bray, because who knows if it's going to be 2 months, 6 months. When Roman Reigns is ready to come back, Roman versus the Fiend is the big one, you know.
That's your WrestleMania match for next year, 100%. It doesn't matter if either of them have the belt or not. That's the match that was meant to be, and it will be for next year, because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter which brand you like. If you like AEW or WWE, it's that they are the two biggest wrestlers in the world at the moment, and seeing those two go head to head at Mania would just, I can't wait.
And they've got such great chemistry. If you doubt it, go back and watch the 6-man tags with the Shield and the Wyatt family. Go watch their singles matches they had too. They never got to have a championship match or a main event. I think they deserve it. They'd kill it. And also, if anyone has seen those photos of Roman Reigns the past few days on social media, he's so jacked right now.
Huge.
He's ready. Yeah.
But so that's maybe the thing. Imagine the Fiend getting over on the Fiend winning at Mania against him. That would be the biggest pop, because no one would pick that. Everyone would be like, no, there's no way. There's no way he comes back and loses. But we just don't know.
Yeah. And imagine the mind games he could play, like similar to what he did with Cena, showing the crowds not liking him and showing the mistakes, or, you know, where he should have turned. You could do that with Roman, and it could be great. That's where it's got to be going. Looking forward to that. But yeah, hey, Extreme Rules. If you didn't watch it, check it out. It's not going to kill your whole day. It's only a couple of hours. You can blitz through it pretty easily. But yeah, I think a fun new format for the WWE, as strange as a show as it was and as questionable as some endings may have been. 2 hours, it's on the network. You can just chuck it on. Why not? You know?
Have a go.
Yeah, it's such a weird way to review a show, but that's what this felt like. A fun way to pass a couple of hours. You know what? I guess it was like a horror movie. Don't think about it too much. You know, you got to suspend disbelief. Chuck it on, enjoy it, move on with your life. Extreme Rules.
I think to get through every single one of these matches, you had to suspend disbelief.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Nobody would have picked everything that happened, but you know what? I enjoyed the hell out of it. I was able to pass a few hours during isolation, so sign me up for more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's good stuff. We're going to wrap it up there. Just a nice and quick review of Extreme Rules. Subscribe to the podcast. Check it out anywhere you can find a podcast. We're there, the Wide World of Wrestling, part of the Ozcast Network. Neil, I guess I'll catch you in a few days.
See you, mate.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.